If you want a dedicated healer that's able to safely heal your team from off-field, provide an elemental skill damage buff, and look cute while doing it, I really think that this little Melusine is gonna be for you. Ever since the release of her banner, many people have been saying that Sigewinne isn't worth the pull. There are better units and that she's mid. However, I've been playing Sigewinne a lot, and I can confidently say that while she isn't the greatest support, her job as a nurse, as a healer, is truly amazing and is a solid pick if you like her design and want to keep your team alive. While she is tied to Frina a lot, I still think that as a standalone unit, Sigewinne is a very good healer, and she was simply released at a bad time. The nation of Fontaine has brought us some of the most cracked out units in the game. Nouvellette, Arlecchino, Frina, Navia. And with this lineup, I can understand that Sigewinne may feel underwhelming, especially for the meta. Like, they really released Sigewinne after putting these monsters on the field. But we've had a similar situation with this before with Kokomi actually. She was one of the most trashed on units when she first released. Everyone was making fun of her. But with time, with resources, and with more knowledge of the game, she's become such a solid on-field and off-field healer that is very reliable in a lot of teams. While Sigewinne definitely can't drive for reactions like Kokomi does, I do think that with time, Sigewinne will become a very viable unit. But if you don't know what she does, let me explain that first. Sigewinne is an off-field healer that's able to provide an elemental skill damage buff for your off-field units. I know, oddly specific. At C0, you get 10 instances of this buff total, meaning your entire team shares this one pool. So characters like Yamiko, Fischl, and most notably Farina will generally take up most of the stacks due to their skill's damage and frequency of their attacks. While this buff is nice, it's not notable enough at C0 to prioritize it, as it's perfectly fine to run Sigewinne as just a healer. Yes, you won't be utilizing her full kit, especially with her lackluster burst that does a low amount of hydro damage, and it doesn't apply hydro all that well. So I understand why so many people are saying that she isn't worth it, as other hydro characters like Kokomi provide team-wide healing as well as good hydro application. Even Barbara is a really good 4-star that can revive units. Yelan, while not being a healer, provides an amazing elemental damage bonus buff, amazing off-field hydro damage, ER, and of course her hydro application is great as long as the character is using their basic attacks. Even then, we have Yao Yao, who is a super comfy Dendro healer that provides a ton of Dendro. But the real takeaway from Sigewinne is the comfort of not dying. Her healing is amazing. It doesn't require energy, you don't need it to refresh it like Kokomi's burst, thus making it really great in the overworld and in combat. But there is one downside to her healing that I find really annoying, but it's not the end of the world. It does not have 100% uptime, so when Sigewinne is healing, it's great. But there is a bit of downtime with it, which can really cost you some HP if you aren't careful. You will get a bit of extra healing if you hold down the skill and let the bubble grow to its full size though. But I don't recommend this, as when you're charging that bubble, you're very vulnerable to damage, so tapping the skill is just so much more efficient. Now, she does have a nice exploration passive, which allows her to heal your units if they are under 50% HP while they are underwater, which can be helpful for exploration and can probably help out new players a lot who are just getting into Genshin and want to explore Fontaine. Maybe down the line she can get a set that really brings out her full potential, but as of right now, she is lacking in some crucial areas. Now, I do want to talk about her constellations, especially her first two. C1 basically adds extra healing to her kit, which is really nice, and will basically give her more stacks on her buff. Instead of the 10, you will have a lot more than 10. Her C2 is actually pretty nice. Basically, whenever she casts her ult or her skill, she will gain a shield, and this is really helpful, as if you're trying to cast that empowered E, you will no longer get interrupted while doing so, and while you're ulting, well, you just won't take damage anymore. However, there is a nice passive about her C2. Let me move my big ass head out of the way first so you can see. Basically, whenever her E or her ult hits an opponent, their hydro res will be decreased by 35% for 8 seconds. Now, that might not seem like a long time, but when you pair her with Farina, Farina will go first, cast her E, switch to Sigewinne, cast her E or her ult, and that's where that debuff comes in, as Farina's fishies can now just gain all of that res. It is very unfortunate that she doesn't give her other teammates a shield, and it's just when she's casting that E and her ult. But once again, it is C2. I would not recommend vertically investing in Sigewinne unless you really like her and just really want to, as those promo gems can be spent elsewhere. But still, having a C0 Sigewinne, if you like her, she'll still be a good addition to your account, especially since she is really easy to build, as you really just want HP for her healing. This is because all of her talents, especially her E, scales off of the amount of HP that you have. So the more HP you have, the more healing you will do. Technically, that is also true for her ult. The more HP you have for her ult, the more damage it will do, but really the scalings are not that great, so typically HP, and that's what you want to focus on. I am running her on the Ocean New Clam just for healing, and really I had a lot of these pieces available, so it wasn't that difficult to build her. She also has a really nice 2-player weapon, that being the recurve bow, which I just went to this random NPC in Inazuma to go get a copy from. If you notice, whenever Sigewinne does use her E, she will drop these little 2 source water balls. Basically, if you pick them up, they will give you extra healing bonus, which can be nice if you do need the extra healing. Overall though, Sigewinne is just a nice free-to-play friendly unit. She has very good healing, she's adorable if you really like her, and if you pull her, your account won't explode. She's honestly a solid pick for healing. While her best teammate might be Farina, if you don't like Farina, you don't have to pull Farina. Sigewinne can still do an awesome job at healing your units so that they just don't die. And if you want to pick her up, go for it. Yes, there are better units out there, but just pull for who you like and pull for who makes you happy. I hope this helped, and I'll see y'all in the next one.